Well, hello everybody. It is a beautiful Monday and it is Memorial Day. And today a lot of us are thinking about that word freedom and the price that's paid for freedom. We know that today we are honoring the highest price that is paid, and that's our fallen heroes, men and women who ran to the front lines, ran towards danger to keep our freedoms alive. And I just want to say thank you to all of the family members that are connected, to those who have recently given their lives and even in generations past. I am an Army brat. My father served this nation for 36 years and he is laid to rest at Arlington National Cemetery. He passed away when he was 82 years old in 2009. He fought in Korea and he fought in Vietnam, and he actually, ultimately, it was the Agent Orange that was sprayed in Vietnam that took my father's life. Even at that age, he had many symptoms that generation had to deal with. So we want to say thank you to all of our fallen heroes and who had given their life so that we can be free. And ultimately, we thank their family members and their close friends because you experienced the loss that we don't understand. And thank God for a day in our nation when we honor those that have helped us to continue to be free. There are people on the front line right now, and some who will not come home. And so we don't take freedom lightly in our country. And I think that word freedom has been explored more in the last 2.5 months than it has in a long time in our nation. We have all experienced something that generations and generations have not experienced, and that's a complete shutdown, not only of our nation, but of the world. And here we are looking at a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. We're beginning to see a soft opening around the country, which states are calling phase 1 of a 3-phase plan to reopen. And here in Virginia, we have also begun phase 1. However, in the D.C. metro area, which represents Northern Virginia, part of Maryland, and the greater Washington area, we have been delayed into phase 1. But at the end of this week, that phase 1 delay is going to expire. And the governor has said that we will begin to enter into our phase 1, which is an opening of the economy, people getting back to work, some normalcy, some stores, some restaurants, different things. However, with restrictions. And so phase 1 is not going to feel normal at all, but it's going to have somewhat of a sense that there is a crack in the restrictions. Part of that is going to be houses of worship are going to be allowed to open. Some of those mandates or orders are going to include for houses of worship that they're able to open up at 50% of their capacity, that there's going to be social distancing, that there's going to be face coverings required. Whether or not the children's classrooms are going to be able to reopen, I am not clear on that. We have to do a little more investigation to see how all of that's going to work. But I felt it was necessary to reach out and begin to open up somewhat of a dialogue about reopening the church. I have received multiple emails and texts and different people reaching out, even through our summit team. You know, what is the plan to reopen? Are we reopening? Well, first, let me say this. We are not going to reopen until we are allowed to, based upon what the governor has said. We have two things that are kind of intersecting here. First, we have phase 1 that's opening at the end of the week for Northern Virginia. And then we also have what the president said last week, and that's that he deemed houses of worship essential. And so I would just like to say thank you to this administration for seeing what truly is essential. I don't think there's anything more essential than a house of worship. A place where God is honored first. You know, the nation and who trust in the Lord will have his protection. And we have to put our hope and trust and values in faith in God. He is the only one that's really going to bring us out of this terrible, terrible situation. Houses of worship provide hope that you can get nowhere else. And so we are looking forward to reopening. We're looking forward to gathering again. You know, while we have been, quote unquote, unable to gather, we want you to know that Summit has been the church. And you know, if you've followed us on Facebook, you've watched our weekend services, you've seen any of our posts, we're continuing to reach out to our community and be the church. And that's very important that you know that, and that we are making sure you see that we are reaching out. We have in-person serving. We have opportunities that are coming up we would love for you to be a part of. If you would like to serve, you still can serve. Just let us know you'd like to come. We're following all the social distancing needs and cleansing needs that need to happen, but we are able to feed hundreds and even thousands of families. We're able to reach out to our public school children and make sure that they have their lunches that they're used to having when school's in. We have been able to give blood. We had the Red Cross at the church. It was just an amazing thing how all of that came together. They ended up approving our facility, and over 50 people came and gave blood, and it was a wonderful thing, all these church members coming with all the social distancing and the mandates that Red Cross was following. But to see our church members coming in to our sanctuary where we love to worship God, and that was just a little foretaste of what it's going to be like to have people coming back. We were so glad to see one another, and so we look forward to when you can come back to the church. And that is kind of what I want to address a little bit. Are we reopening? We are not going to be reopening this weekend. When will we be reopening? Hopefully in the next few weeks. It is possible, don't hold me to this, but it is possible we could open up on June 7th. I will be following up with you this week to make sure there's clarity on when we will be opening. But I just felt a need to go ahead and talk to you now. Because of what the president has said, that churches are deemed essential, people are thinking, well, we just need to reopen. And let me just address this first. We will reopen when the Commonwealth of Virginia deems Northern Virginia able to reopen within the governor's mandates and orders. We are going to be compliant. We're not going to be defiant. This is no time for us to be defiant when we know this is a temporary order, that it must lift, and it will lift, and it will lift soon. So I want to keep everybody's from saying, well, let's rise up, let's just go ahead and have church. You've heard what the president has said. Let's just get out there and go gangbusters. This is no time for us to do that. What we need to do is figure out the best way to open, so that when we open up on the first Sunday we open up right, which is going to include all of the different mandates. It's going to include face coverings. It's going to include social distancing. It's going to include the covering of the bathrooms. It's going to include making sure the building is sanitized correctly. It's going to include that we watch out for our children. How are the classrooms going to be open? What are we going to do to ensure that everyone is safe in the building? I want you to know that we've actually were approached by one of our church members who owns a HVAC company and does a lot of commercial work, and he opened up a science of air scrubbing through ionization, and he has actually come to our building while we've been shut down, and he's installed these ionizers into our central air conditioning systems, that whenever the fan is on, the air will be scrubbed, that's the word I'm using, by these ionized neutrons or whatever they are, and they begin to eat the viruses that are in the air. And as long as the air is on, then we have the air being scrubbed. So it's not just spray in the air or wiping down surfaces and making sure that people have face masks. We're also going to be able to have our air scrubbed in the sanctuary. So this is something that's pretty exciting. It was offered to us, and we are excited to be a part of this project with this, and we'll be sharing more about that in the future. But let me address directly what it's going to take for us to reopen. It's going to take, number one, the governor releasing us to open. Number two, it's going to take some research on how we're going to get people in the building, how we're going to cause the flow to go through the building, and how many people we're going to be able to be allowed in the building. And that is going to be based on all of those social distancing standards. I wanted to reach out, let you know that we have been thinking about reopening since the day we haven't been able to meet, that my team has been thinking about this and working on it since the very beginning. We've been doing two things. We've been reaching out to you 100% digital while planning on coming back to in-person gatherings. And so I'm asking you to be patient. I'm asking you to trust that we have no interest in continuing the way that we are meeting or gathering online. We have no interest in doing that any further than we have to. But we thank God we have been able to. As a matter of fact, I want to give a shout out to our production department, the sound department, the media department, the lighting departments. I want to give a shout out to our graphics department, to our music departments, give a shout out to our children's departments. This has been an incredible task, a monumental task, to keep the content fresh and alive and clear online. And it's been a big learning curve for us, huge learning curve, on the job learning. There have been a lot of weaknesses and things that have been uncovered during this time that we have grown. So we're going to be better when you get back. There's equipment that we have to purchase. There's updates we have to do. And we're excited. We're actually excited about the challenge that's been set before us. We thank God that we've had this time to evaluate our systems and evaluate our daily operation procedures. So there are a lot of good things coming from a bad thing. And we will be opening soon. I will be reaching out to you in the next few days to give you even more information. But we have got to make sure that from the youngest baby to the oldest adult and every age in between, that when we open, we have you covered, number one. Number two, you know exactly what it means when you arrive on the parking lot and how that's going to work for you. That's going to be a matter of training our dream team to receive you. We will be doing that very, very shortly. So if you're on the dream team, get ready for some training to be able to welcome people back to the sanctuary. How many services are we going to have? I don't know, but if we have to add some services so we can get more people in the building, we'll be looking at that as well. The other thing is we're going to, of course, continue on our online presence. We had an online presence before this, but our online presence will continue to be strong as it has increased during the pandemic. So we're excited about the future. I'm asking you to be patient. I know I'm not giving you any timeline of exactly when we would like to open, but we will be following up. I wanted to touch base with you. I hope that you're enjoying your Memorial Day, this time off. I hope you are honoring in your heart those that have given us freedom. I don't think we're ever going to take freedom for granted again, at least for a while. Let's be enthusiastic about our freedom, and then when we come back together, we'll be enthusiastic about our gatherings, and hopefully that won't wane. People won't take for granted that, hey, the church is just going to be open. Hey, Five Guys is just going to be open. I can go grab a burger and sit down and eat. Let's not take any of this for granted anymore. Let's wake up, realize that freedom isn't free, that freedom costs, that Jesus Christ paid for our freedom, and thus we gather to honor Him and to bring others into a close relationship with Him. Steph and I love you so much. We are looking forward to gathering with you. To those of you who have joined us online and we've never met personally, those of you who have actually participated online and we've never met you personally, we look forward to you being able to come and gather with us and increase our influence in the Washington, D.C. metro area. God bless you guys. We'll see you soon. Adios.